Matt's Cabin was good, but 2 days ago is when I got there, and we were drinking obviously, but playing catch in the water as well. And I was just running back and forth, and my foot hit either glass, a sharp stick, or something. Yeah. And I immediately couldn't walk, and so I just buckled into the water, and it sucked. It hurt. And then yesterday I couldn't do anything, so I actually had to drive home because I couldn't walk. I was not even in the mood to drink. But now I got the boot on, and it's just in the middle of the foot. It's in the worst spot it could be, in the middle of the foot, and it's so sensitive to where I put any pressure on it, just is excruciating pain. But apparently last night after I left, a few hours after I left, Chuck McLean broke his shoulder by jumping off the top bunks and trying to go downstairs. So he's on his way to the hospital right now.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was some wild stuff. But Zweifel, you were saying you had a story?
Oh man, every year I get hurt on one of these big holidays. I've been lucky enough to elude blowing my finger off because I really don't do the too many fireworks or around people that spend thousands of dollars on fireworks. But yeah, we're all out in the backyard. Drinks are flowing, and I see this hammock. Looks good, looks appetizing, or looks intriguing, I guess. I'm not going to eat the hammock, but looks intriguing. So I go over there, and I looked below it, and I see these rocks, and I'm like, well, that'd be bad if this thing snapped. But I kind of test it, and then I put all my weight on it to do a test run, and it snaps on me on the test run. I didn't even think I was on it, and I fall right on that rock. And I thought I broke my tailbone. I rolled off the this ledge that was right there too, down a 1 foot, 1.5 foot little embankment, yard sale everywhere, glasses going everywhere. I spilt my beer all over myself, so I'm just laying in mud and beer. And I can't.
How are you feeling now?
Well, I can't really sit, which unless I'm in a certain position, kind of leaning forward. But I guess you don't realize how much you use your butt.
Yeah, dude, that's what I was saying about my foot. Don't realize what you had until it's gone, And now I can't walk. It sucks. And you can't sit. It sucks. Jesus Christ, look at us. We are.
It just hurts to move around a little bit.
Yeah. Right now, my foot's throbbing.
I'd probably rather have my injury than yours, but neither one of us made it out of there clean.
No, but who did make it out of the weekend clean is Seattle Mariners. They made it out pretty clean with the 2 out of 3 games against the Rangers, and my good golly, Miss Molly, being back in full capacity. It was only 22,000, so half of what full capacity is, but nonetheless, the most fans that have been in there since 2019. That was the most fun I've had at a Mariners game, and I don't know how long. I originally went with about 10 guys, and by the 4th inning, all of the guys that I came with had left to go to the bars or whatever it was, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm leaving this game. You don't quit on the Mariners because the Mariners always, something crazy will happen if you stay long enough. Something crazy is going to go down. And lo and behold, 8th inning, Luis Torrens decides to do his thing again, and he hits a bomb. And the coolest, Luis Torrens, this guy's looking like he could be a potential Mike Piazza. Who knows? I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but it's looking that way. The best part about his home run, actually, I ended up just making friends with people in the beer garden, and tons of people. Luis Torrens steps up with 2 outs. Tons of people like, God dang it. Luis is going to mess this up. I'm like, hold on. Ever since we set him down and brought him back up, he's been doing really, really good. Who knows? Something crazy might happen here. So a dinger might happen here. Literally 2 seconds later, pop of the bat, dinger over the fence, tie, whatever the score was, tie ball game, I believe. And everybody just lost their minds. It was electric. And the coolest part was when JP Crawford came up to bat. This was the 8th inning. We had 2 outs. Jake Freddy on second base, and 0-2 count, and the entire stadium just JP, just chanting his name. And JP comes through. JP hits a slapper through the shortstop and third baseman. Jake Fraley comes screaming around third, dives home head first, and beats the tag by a millisecond. And it was incredible, man. I mean, JP was saying after the game that was the coolest moment he's ever had, not only in baseball, but is in his entire life of anything. He's like, that's the coolest thing ever, where you had an entire stadium chanting your name. And the fact that I was able to come through them, you got to come through it. They're chanting your name. The fact that I was able to come through, it was the coolest thing in the world. And some bullshit that he's getting snubbed and not being an all-star. Congrats to Yusei Kikuchi. And I had a feeling we were only going to have one guy getting to be an all-star this year. JP Crawford definitely deserves it. But I mean, I guess Yusei does as well. I'm pretty bummed, though, not to see JP in that all-star game.
Yeah, that game was kind of a cool thing to see with all the guys that have been really good for us lately. Like Jake Fraley's just been on a tear. Terens has been on a tear. I mean, that swing that he's came back with, it's almost like he found something that I didn't even know he could be. I thought he was a light-hitting, poor defensive catcher. He's still not a great defensive catcher, but we've been using him at DH a lot. And he just, if you throw him a high fastball, he's taking that thing oppo with that sweet home run swing. Jake Fraley, I mean, this is what we talked about in a rebuild. What do you want to see? You want to see guys take big steps. Or you want to see guys, you want to get a feel if this guy's going to be on the team long term. I think Shed Long has made a case that he can at least stick around and be he can fill in at second base, left field. He hits enough, and there's a lot of the season left, so hopefully he continues to take steps. But Fraley's eye, man, he has the best eye on the team by far. He's getting in 3-1 counts, 3-2 counts, and he's getting nice pitches to hit down the middle, which is what you get if you work. You earn that. You earn that fastball down the middle if you get to a 3-1, 3-2 count, and he's putting them over the wall. I mean, a 3-run home run by Terens, like you talked about. JP Crawford, he's been the story of the year, him and Yusei. I would have loved to see both of them get to the All-Star game, but that's just too tough of a position, shortstop, to really complain too much. But yeah, I love this weekend. Was super fun, man. Even before taking 2 out of 3 on the road against the Blue Jays, that was huge. So
yeah, and it's pretty credible to see that there are only 3.5 games back in the wild card.
Yeah.
And so they're keeping it going. And like Chris, you've mentioned this a lot on our podcast, with the amount of injuries that we've had, the situation to be in this position. We're ahead of the Yankees, the Blue Jays, a lot of these teams that have a bunch of stacked lineups, and the Mariners are still playing together and playing with that confidence. And now they have a huge week this week with the Yankees and the Angels, and at home too. So if they can take some care of business, who knows what can happen, but it's some fun baseball to keep your eye on right now.
Dude, coming up when we got the Yankees coming to town, I'll be going to the midday matinee on Thursday. I hate the Yankees. I hate New York. I hate the Yankees and everything about them. And if the test of time continues to do what it does, it's going to be packed with New York Yankees fans. T-Mobile Park, because that's what happens every damn year whenever they come to play. And so I know that we'll see how those games go. I feel extremely confident about them. And was I telling you guys last week about when I was seeing that guy who was like predicting like the Yankees like final like 6 series or whatever? Did we talk about that last week at all?
No, I don't think so.
There was this reporter who was predicting it, and he put like everything he's put so far is like they'll take 2 or 3 against the Angels. Whoever they played after, they take 2 or 3 from them. Like they would win all these series, and like the entire exact opposite has happened from everything that he said they would do. So they've won like one of 3, and then like the next one coming up is a sweep of the Seattle Mariners that they would sweep us. And so everything he said is opposite so far. So I'm glad he said sweep, but I'm expecting a sweep in the other way around. I'm hoping for a sweep in the other way around. I mean, you guys, I read this last night as well. So you know how earlier in the season we had it was in April, we had the hardest stretch of baseball that month in terms of other teams' winning percentages and whatnot. We had the toughest strength of schedule, right?
Yeah, we have like the 3rd easiest now.
We have the 3rd easiest through the rest of the season. third easiest strength of schedule through the rest of the season, which, I mean, like, if we can go against the Yankees and the Angels and just win each of these series, and all we're doing right now, we've only had 2 sweeps on the season. Both of those sweeps were 4-game series, one against the Rangers, one against the Devil Rays. But we're winning series. That's all that really matters, is if you can win each and every series. I mean, it's incredible. We haven't lost a series since.
So 6 series now, right?
Yeah, we haven't lost a series since June 10th, 11th, and 12th and 13th against Cleveland. We got 1 of 4. Since then, we've taken 2 from Minnesota, lost 1. Took 4 from Tampa Bay, split a series with Colorado. We took 2 from the Chicago White Sox, and then we took 2 from the Toronto Blue Jays, and then we took 2 from the Rangers. I mean, we are winning every series right now that we're playing, and it's just incredible baseball. I mean, every guy's stepping up, as you were saying, Zweifel. Like, a rebuild, you got to have those guys step up and make that turn. And the turn it's not like it just kind of, there's many noticeable checkpoints for when somebody starts doing better. They just start kind of get there, and their confidence becomes reality. And I think that's what we're seeing happen with Jake Fraley. I know that's what we're seeing happen with JP Crawford, because JP Crawford has talked about it, talked about how he has so much confidence. He knows that the entire team and organization fully believes in his capabilities and know what he's capable of doing. And so does he. I bet you he's going to win another Gold Glove this year. Without a doubt. But I mean, this shit is just fun, man. It's fun baseball to watch. And if you're listening to this, you're listening to Monday Mojo, and if you're still skeptical on the Mariners and you're like, oh, they're going to blow it up, like, you know what? Fair enough. I'm not going to tell you how to fan, and I'm not going to tell you, what to believe, but I want you to know my point of view. My point of view is, if you're not jumping on a bandwagon strictly because you don't want to get hurt, then toughen up. Sports are meant to get you hurt. They really are. They're meant to get you hurt. They're meant to break your feelings. But if you can just dive in with all those feelings and really get on board of this bandwagon per se, I'm not a bandwagoner because I love these guys since the day I was born, but I don't care if you are a bandwagoner, if you're in the same boat as I am, but just jump on the ship and enjoy the ride and get hyped and get happy and support these guys. Get down to the stadium. I mean, if we're not having anybody down there to support them, when we had a chance to sell out the crowd, there was only 22,000. I mean, it still sounded like a lot of people, but could have been more. And I'm talking about Friday's game when we had our first full capacity night. But just jump on the damn ship, get excited about it. Don't be afraid to get hurt, because it's happened so many times. And these Mariners, they hurt so good, but who knows? I think we may be making that turn of being a legitimate team. And Shannon Dreyer was talking about it as well. She said about 2 weeks ago, she was nervous about saying if we're going to be making that turn. But after this series with Toronto and after the one with Texas, she's saying, I think we legitimately have made the turn to becoming a good baseball team. And it's a lot of fucking fun to watch, boys.
Yeah, you can tell, like, when you're beating teams and making comebacks, and you're not blowing leads, and you're not doing what bad teams do, even if you're beating teams that have a bad record, if you're just taking care of 2 out of 3 in the series, you can at the end of the series say, hey, that's what good teams do. We didn't blow the series. We took care of our business, and then we're moving on, and we can check that off the calendar. We're going to the next series, which is a Yankee team right now that's 42-41, just over 500. We got Sheffield going the first game, which he obviously came from New York, and that Paxton deal. He's been struggling this year. I had really high hopes coming into the year, and hopefully he can get back on track against a Yankee squad that I think they've lost 8 of their last 12 games. So they're scuffling. This is they played a doubleheader where they were 41-41 after the first loss. And it was the first time since 2009 that they'd been 500 this late in the season. So they're not having a good year. You know how the media is in New York. They've just been roasting these guys. So there's a lot of pressure on them. And even though the Yankees they usually come in and infiltrate our stadium, and we don't like that. I mean, the energy when you were at that game it felt electric. It looked electric on TV. It was awesome to watch. Electric. And you know what? The Yankee fans, they're going to come in, they're going to add to that. And, it's going to be a ruckus environment. Hopefully we can take 2 out of 3. The next 2 games after Sheffield goes, we got Yusei and Gilbert. So,
yeah.
Or it might be Flexen.
It's going to be Gilbert.
Yeah, it's Kikuchi after Sheffield, and then it's Gilbert
Yeah.
on Thursday.
Yeah, so I mean, those are two of our top three pitchers. You say is our best, but
And that's what I did want to say about the Blue Jays series. I believe it was when Sheffield pitched, and it was the second game of the series. We lost the first game. And with Sheffield coming in, we did say this on last podcast as well. Pretty much when every other pitcher except for Sheffield right now is on the mound, I'm feeling very confident that we have a high chance of winning that game because our pitchers are going deep. Our starting pitching has been phenomenal this year. People picking each other up, picking the pieces up. But with Sheffield coming in that second game, he didn't pitch that well, but for us to still be able to win that game and our offense to come alive and our bullpen to do what it does and keep it at a minimum in terms of the scoring, it's really impressive to see all these different puzzle pieces coming together. And this jigsaw we were talking about, it's coming to fruition. And golly,
that
man.
that was the 30th, right? Where Moore hit the 3-run home run.
Yep.
Yeah, it was clutch.
Yep. We're just getting these guys to step up in different spots, and more so we're having a few consistent pieces, but then we're having whatever day of the week it is, some guys going to be coming up clutch and doing their thing. And I just think it goes to show like that the camaraderie in what we have inside the clubhouse, that it can't be measured in terms of stats and whatnot, but just relationship wise. And like I said, camaraderie, it's high in our clubhouse, and we got something that we haven't had within a clubhouse for a long time, where these guys legitimately believe in each other and they're wanting to fight for one another like a team's supposed to do. It's crazy to really, we don't get to see. This is probably the best team that we've seen for this long in a while that has this much promise, right? As Mariner fans, like maybe in 2016 when we had Nelly and Robinson and whatnot, but they obviously ended up not making it. But we had expectations that year to make the playoffs. These expectations that we had this year were not to make the playoffs. But my predictions at the beginning of this year in our first episode, when I said we were going to get 88 wins, it's not looking too far off. That's not looking too far out of the scenario here.
I've completely stopped making Mariners predictions because because if I was going to be realistic coming into the year, I'd be like, oh yeah, we'll win 76 games, 76 and 86, call it a year. But I don't want to be right. Why would I? I'm not rooting for that, so I'm not even going to make Mariner predictions anymore coming into the year. But that's probably where I would have put the team just a little bit below 500 because I was patient. I still am, and I'm not completely sold that we won't take a step back, and hopefully we don't. But I mean, this is a hot stretch, and every team has hot stretches, and if we can elongate your hot stretches and bank those wins, it looks real good. But also this thing could turn, so we got to stay together as a team and keep that control in the zone, as they say.
Control the zone, baby. That's what we're doing. That's
Jake Fraley. Just keep playing Jake Fraley ball.
Just keep playing. That's what every batter's doing. They're coming in and they're just fouling pitches off that they don't want to hit, and then they're finding the one that they can do something with it. And that's most significantly is JP, as I just want to continue talking about him because he's so damn good. But that hit he had in Friday's game against the Rangers, I mean, infield was in. He just needed to poke it through. He didn't put a tough swing on it. It was an 0-2 count. And he just I just need to get it into the freaking outfield grass. And Jake Fraley, one of the fastest guys on our team, will get around to score. And he just poked it through, man. And it got through that left side of the infield hole. And boom, we take the lead. And then, oh man, I love extra inning baseball. I think at that game too, people were trying to leave. And I like I said, I knew nobody at this point because all of my friends had taken off to go to the bars instead of staying and watch the beautiful Mariners. But I stayed, and so there was a group about maybe like 15 other people that were in the garden. And if they had left, then it would have significantly decreased the amount of people that were in the garden of what it looked like, especially too. And I was telling them, you guys can't leave. We're 9-1 in extra innings. We're gonna go to extra innings. We need everybody here. You guys gotta stay. You gotta stay. And I convinced them to stay. They stayed, and we hit a walk off. Everybody absolutely lost their minds, man. I mean, for a walk off on the first night of full capacity. Baseball is poetic. It's poetic. You can't write this shit. I mean, it's crazy for me to be able to be there. I'm just like, I love this so much. And that next day, I mean, when I was driving up to Lake Kavanaugh for the 4th of July, I'm listening to music and stuff. But the entire time, all I'm thinking about is how much I love the Seattle Mariners baseball team and how hyped I am on what they're doing and how much I want to see them succeed. Because obviously I want to see them succeed. Whatever Mariners team there is, I want to see them succeed. But I truly believe that this is a team that will be able to succeed and will be able to get past that hump. And it's just fun to see. And one other thing I saw, MLB Network just came out with their first half of the year managers rankings. And at a strong number 2, they put Scott Service as the second best manager in the league right now. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, he's just behind Kapler, right, for the Giants.
Yep.
Which that's very much well deserved too. I mean, the Giants are the biggest surprise story in the league. You know, I don't know if I really believe in manager rankings because it doesn't necessarily tell you how good they are actually at managing. It's just halfway through the season, but Scott's done a great job. I can just leave it at that. I mean, I don't know if he's the number 2 manager in baseball. Has he done the number 2 job in baseball? Sure. I mean, because we were not supposed to be where we are. And so the differential between where we are and where people predicted us to be probably merits him being in that conversation. But just there's a lot of, we're on Mariners Facebook chat and whatever. And, those guys are old hags, as we say. And these guys, it's always Service's fault. We win the game. It's not he doesn't get the credit. We lose the game. It's his fault. It's like, dude, you guys can't have it both ways. When he does a pitching change or like we've talked about with Montero a couple times, I'm the first guy on the front saying, hey, I didn't like that. I didn't like that decision. I wouldn't have brought him in a high leverage situation like that. The 29th when we ended up getting crushed 9-3, but we're in that game and you bring Montero in. We were down 3-1 and I was fine with him coming in 3-1 because it's all of a sudden it's a non-leverage situation and he can come in. But we tie that game up at 3-3. You're telling him to go grab the pine again. I'm bringing in a Seawald, a Char. I've been butchering Chargot's name. Chargois. Yeah.
Yes.
I was Chargot. Is Chargois.
Chargois.
You're gonna have a French lesson after this, but
yeah.
No, I'm fine with that. But Service has done a great job. Besides a couple of different things there, I think he's been a big part of why we are where we're at.
There's no question in my mind, and that's the reason I actually wanted to bring it up, and you touched on it completely, Zweif. It's just for the people on Facebook, for the ones giving Scott no credit when there's some credit due, and for them giving him all the hate when we lose. They're just so quick to jump on and jump off ship, and just for the fact that the Mariners never get recognition on MLB Network. I mean, we're a West Coast team. They are East Coast bias. It's just the time zone difference. It is what it is. But I was just finally glad to see Scott Service, the Mariners, be up on that national viewpoint and get a little bit of recognition. Let the people know that we're here. We're here, and it's late in the season. It's almost the All-Star break, and we're still here. We're 3.5 back from the damn wild card. We're not leaving. We're not leaving. We ain't fucking leaving, as Jordan Belfort would say. Another note I wanted to bring up again about my boy JP Crawford. Fun little story about when his season turned around. Y'all remember the fellow, Jacob Nottingham, that kept coming to and from the Mariners from Milwaukee, the catcher, right?
Yeah, catcher, first baseman. Whatever.
Catcher, first baseman, right? So he was on our team for a total of maybe 2 weeks. He was with us, then not with us, then with us, then not with us, then with us, then not with us. But he noticed that JP Crawford was using a bat that didn't allow his hands to get in front quick enough. It was a little bit too heavy from what he looked at. JP Crawford's not a big guy. And he's like, Jacob Nottingham said to JP, how about you try using my bat? And JP used Jacob Nottingham's bat, which was an ounce lighter or a couple ounces lighter and a little bit shorter. And yeah, because Nottingham said JP's bat was too long and told him to use his. So that night JP went off, and the night that he used Jacob Nottingham's bat. And ever since that night, he has been using the exact same model. And so big shout out to you never know in a season what can happen, what can change. And even if there's a guy that's on your team for less than 2 weeks, you don't know the impact that he's going to be able to have on the team. This is one of those small examples that's gone a long way with Jacob Nottingham making that recommendation. Because we remember JP Crawford, when we were first talking about this, Evan, you'll remember this more because Zweif, this is before you really joined the show. But we were saying like JP Crawford, especially on an interview with Joe Doyle, like this guy may not be the shortstop of our future because he can't figure out his bat. His glove's phenomenal, but he couldn't figure out his bat. And all of that has gone down the drain. And all of that is now a reality of where his glove is phenomenal and his bat is really damn good too. And he tweeted out that he wants to be a Mariner player for life the other day. So I just love seeing that shit too. When people love the city, love the fans, and the fans love them back. Baseball is poetic.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting story. And Jacob Nottingham, when he was here as a player, not so impactful, but just that little piece of advice that he gave JP. And then now what does JP do? Maybe he talks to Dylan Moore and say, "Hey, Dylan, you ever looked at your weight on your bat? Maybe you could take a little lighter back. Quit swinging for the fences every time."
Yeah.
Sorry. I digress on Dylan Moore, but he did have the 3-run home run, but he's been the biggest disappointment for me. One of the biggest this year. I thought he was going to be a player, but yeah, that's a great story. And we can kind of segue into that Yankee series because I think it deserves a little attention. And then after that, we got the Angels coming up. No Mike Trout. Go to the All-Star break, and then we get them again. So we're going to 2 series without Mike Trout. This is when you want to play him. Like I said, I'm not happy he's hurt. That's terrible. Mike Trout's one of my favorite players, but it's really nice not having him in the lineup.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great thing that he's not going to be in the lineup. Don't get me wrong. I want the best players in the league to be playing. But like you said, it's if we don't have him in the lineup, we're not going against them. Okay, that's fine with me. But we still got to go against that dark horse, Shohei Ohtani. God damn, man, we are witnessing a generational talent on 2 sides of the ball, which is incredible. Hell of a the dude is deserving as hell for getting on the All-Star game in both a pitcher and a hitter, which is the first time in history. The dude continues to break record books. It's incredible. It's incredible. But I mean, if we can, as we said a second ago, we've got the third easiest strength of schedule throughout the rest of the season. And going into the All-Star break, I just want to focus on those ones. Going into the All-Star break, if we can win these 2 series, get 1 sweep in there, we're going to get some momentum. And we already have the momentum, but that momentum is going to get multiplied, doubled, tripled, whatever it is. And we just got to get Justin Sheffield to start off. If we could start that off with a win tomorrow. This is Monday Mojo, recorded on a Monday, dropped on a Monday for all y'all listening right now. But yeah, if we can get that first win with Justice.
Oh yeah, then it's on. And it's like it's this former team, so there could be a little bit of a bounce back there that he wants to prove that Paxton deal was a mistake for them to do. But I mean, he's just been every inning there's guys on base, and even if he gets out of it, it's a roller coaster ride. But we'll see how that series goes. Even if we lose the first game, if we win it, then we're in great shape. But even if we lose that first game, Gilbert and Kikuchi have just been solid for us when they take the ball on the mound. I love Kikuchi, his little glove pat after he gets out of the inning and he's walking. He's got a little swagger in his step. And Gilbert's just got that stone face, locked in confidence look that he's just throwing 98 at your chin, and he's stepping on your toes as he's coming down the mound. So it's fun to watch those guys. I want to see a couple of these guys get going though, like the Moores. I want to see a little bit more from a Murphy if he's in there, because he needs to be our catcher. You like Terren's DHing most of the time because he's not the defensive guy that Murphy is, but we can get a bat going from one of these 2 guys that are cold. Then stuff starts to pick up, and whoever's takes the day off and goes 0 for 4. Well, the guy that was going 0 for 4 just got 2 hits. So that's how it works in baseball.
We're picking them up. I got a question though for both of you. I'll answer it afterwards too. But trade deadline end of this month, and let's say we get one of these sweeps, gets either the Yanks or the Angels. And we win. Let's just say we win both of the series. And do you guys think that we're buying? Do you guys think that we're going to end up buying at the deadline if we continue to play at the rate that we're playing?
Well, Jerry said that the GMs and fans for the most part used to look at it as just two options. You're either buying or selling. You're either a losing team, so you're selling, or you're a buying team because you have a good record and you want to make a shot, a swing to the playoffs. But Jerry even said now, he's like, a lot of GMs don't think about that way. If you're even below 500, but you see yourself in a rebuilding window, you can trade for a guy that won't immediately take away from your future. Like, you're not trading away big prospects, and get maybe a 26-year-old, 28-year-old who's an established big leaguer, but can be projected out for your team for the next 2 or 3 years. So I look for us to add a guy that like a Nico Goodrum from the Tigers, like a guy who can play all different positions. He's still 27, 28. And you probably don't have to sell off one of our young prospects to get him. You might take some B-level prospects and you can get that done. I don't want a guy like Adam Frazier, because even though he's completely raking in Pittsburgh, their asking price, as it should be, is just astronomically high, because, hey, we're going to get the most out of this guy. We're going to take a couple of your big prospects. You don't want to break this thing up. If you can trade like a Isaiah Campbell, maybe hold on to a guy like Brandon Williamson, but someone around that level, a one.
What if Trevor Story is available? What if he's on that trade block?
Well, throw out some names, like put together a trade package, and I'll tell you if I would do it. Like, is it a Trammell? Maybe it's a Trammell, Isaiah Campbell, and Shed Long?
Yeah. I'd say
I'd do that.
I mean, what do the Rockies need? I mean, so that's because I really, 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 really want Trevor Story, and the Rockies are clearly in a rebuilding phase, and they clearly are not going to be keeping Trevor Story past this year. I mean, it's whatever their biggest needs are, which, like, I don't know enough about them to even come close to being able to answer this question here. But I know that Jerry does have that knowledge, and he does have that keen ability to know what a team needs and what we want from them and what we can provide to help them get what they think they need, such as the New York Mets. They needed Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz, yet Robinson Cano's not playing anymore, and Edwin Diaz has actually been picking up a little bit. He's been actually doing pretty well, I think, this year. I know some Met fans still don't like Edwin Diaz at all because sometimes there's a roller coaster that he brings along, but that's beside the point of what I originally asked. I think that Jerry has a very good ability to look into a team, find what they need, get some pieces on what we have, and have them believe that is what they need for what they're trying to do. And then in return, we get what we want. And I think Jerry is very good at that. And so I don't know. If we're going to be a big buyer, I would love to see Trevor Story, just because he's been consistent. And how old is he? Like, what, 27? 27. So, I mean, he's still young. He's still real young, which blows my mind. I feel like he's been in the league for so much longer. But
what do you do with Seager at that point if you brought him on? I'm
Seager
not
stays
saying
through the rest of the year.
I'm not saying that blocks you from doing it, because if you got to make the trade and this is the time.
Well, they're not taking Seager. The Rockies aren't going to.
No, I know, but I don't think they would. But I'm saying, you get Story on the team. What do you do with Seager? I mean,
Seager stays at third, and we got Trevor Story going to second base.
Second base, yeah.
Yeah, so that would mean probably Shed Long is involved in that trade.
Yeah,
that's probably what that would mean.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Story is a plus defender at shortstop, so I'd probably like to see him over at third base. And then,
well, he'll go to third base. He'll go to third base next year. Yeah. Next year,
Seager DHs.
Seager probably be gone.
No, I'm saying for the rest of this year.
Oh, Seager. Maybe. Okay, maybe. I mean, we would maybe see him DH more often, because. One thing, so I was also listening to Shannon. I was listening to Shannon Drayer talk about, if we're going to be buyers or sellers. And one thing that Mariners fans have been talking about as of late is, do we buy back Nelson Cruz? And Shannon Drayer brought up a phenomenal point. Probably not, because of the way that the Mariners are utilizing the DH position this year. We are utilizing it so we can give guys like Mitch Haniger a rest, still keep his bat in the lineup, but put somebody else in right field. And we just continue to use that with a catcher every so often, with Ty France every so often. We just have a different person in there. With Nelson Cruz on your team, while his bat is one of the best in the league, the way that the Mariners are built right now, it just doesn't make sense because he would be the only DH. He can't do anything else except for DH. And so that just completely takes away from everything that we've been doing thus far this year. And it simply just wouldn't be the best fit because it's not the way that we are using the DH. I
definitely get that point, and I tend to actually agree with that. But also on the flip side, it's like, does a bat like Nelson Cruz outweigh the fact that you've been using the DH position, how you've been using it, and it's been working? I mean, yes, you've been using it to rotate guys in. Like, yes, it's been working, but also I don't think a guy like Nelson Cruz would cost that much. He's 43 years old or so, and you would usually, when these trades happen, like, you would think a guy like that goes for a lot more. Look what Encarnacion went for when we traded him to the Yankees. We got back Juan Ten, who's an 18-year-old guy who's been in Single A, doing pretty well, but it's not going to take that much. So if we were to trade a couple B prospects in Double A and pick up Nelson Cruz, I get that strategy of rotating the DH goes out the window. You also got Nelson Cruz on your team now. You can slide him right in. But no, I think it's a fair point by Chandra and yourself. I just think that it's not something to totally scratch off just because we've been doing it one way.
Yeah, and I guess maybe strategy is the wrong word to use. It's more of an adaptation for the amount of injuries that we've had. And so we've adapted to having to utilize the DH position in such the way that we are, where it's kind of a revolving door. But yeah, I mean, nonetheless, this has been that was a really, really, really fun week of Mariners baseball. This has been a really fun season, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see what we got going and how we're going to continue to produce. And I'm excited for big games on weekends coming up when the Mariners are playing some teams and we got some more people getting into the stadium and supporting these boys, man. Like, Evan, we're Cougs. And anytime I see somebody on the street walking down with the Cougar logo, I'm like, hey, go Cougs, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. And what I've been doing then, anytime I see somebody with Mariners gear on, I see them in the streets. If I'm driving my car and they're walking, they're far away, I'm yelling, hey, go Mariners. It's like getting the energy throughout the city and I want people listening. If you see somebody that you don't know and they're in a Mariners hat, a Mariners jersey, yell, go M's. Just get the little things. The little things matter amongst fans. And when you hear somebody else say go M's to you, and if you're a big Mariners fan, you're like, fuck yes, go M's, baby. And it's what we need to do as a city to get behind this team. And this team is trying. They're trying hard and they're doing their thing. And I love it, man. I love baseball. I love the Mariners. And I'm going to lose my absolute mind if we make the playoffs. And I know we're not supposed to. And I'm going to get excited. I was going to say I want us to make the playoffs. And again, I know we're not supposed to. But golly, man, if it happens, I don't give a shit if we get knocked out in the first fucking round. I just want to get it. I want to get in and, then the following year, continue to progress. And I just love this team so much, man.
We'll have to do a little bit of research on the trade deadline, and we'll come back with some more people to talk about. But the draft's also coming up. And, the MLB draft is a little different than the NBA draft. You tend to know these NBA guys coming right out. These guys in the NFL coming straight out of college because you've seen them on TV, and they tend to be an immediate impact. But we do have a relatively high pick. I think we're 12, right around there. But we're looking at a lot of shortstops, a lot of athletic shortstops.
Yeah. Wait, in the draft, we're looking at shortstops?
Yep. It's not because in the MLB, it's not about, you don't draft for need. If you do that, your needs right now
aren't going to be the same. Okay.
Yeah. So you take talent. And I guess there's a lot of athletic. Jerry was saying, that they tend to take the high upside guys coming out, and they tend to lean towards athleticism, super athletic guys like a Kyle Lewis or and then later on in the rounds they tend to take like college pitchers that are proven, and it's just their formula. But I don't have the prospect names I would want right now, but I am excited for the draft to come up because it's not the NFL draft, it's not the NBA draft. You're not going to see these guys immediately, but it is kind of fun to see like a little glimpse into your future. Like when they took Kyle Lewis back in 2017, 2018, it's like we didn't know what this guy was, but now look what he is, and he's been doing great things.
Do you know how old Kyle Lewis was when he started playing baseball for the first time in his entire life?
Well, wasn't he like a sophomore?
Yeah, like 16 years old.
Yeah.
16 years old. And so
yeah, it must be nice.
It must be nice.
You're like, yeah, I think I'll do this. I think I'll do this for my career.
Oh man, what if? I wish I had some genes like that, man, but I ain't got genes. I got some genes. I'm bummed Max isn't on this podcast this week because last week Max was talking shit about my defensive ability in beer league softball, and I made some plays at this last game, and I was excited to talk about that with him so he could change his opinion on the air and say it with people's ears listening to him. We'll save that for next week, and I'll have him give me credit. But I probably am out of commission this week as I don't know did we talk about this on the show yet? How I messed up my foot. For all you watching on the YouTube, I got a boot on. 4th of July was brutal. I think we did talk about this, didn't we?
You might have. I
don't know. We may have. I think actually we opened up with it, so now we may be. Whatever. Messed up my foot. Out of commission this week. But I think the last thing that leaves us with is going over our last week's pick to hits, and then choosing this week's.
It's gonna be close. I don't know what you had. I had 14 for Mr. Terens.
14 for Terens. Okay. Terens is. I'm so glad that somebody had him this week because Terens just absolutely just went off. And
Seager had an amazing week for the points. So
Seager did. I'm so trying to find out right now. I actually haven't had a chance to get these points all situated.
Evan, who'd you have?
I'm just gonna wave the white flag and take the L.
You were out.
I know. I took Tom Murphy, and I don't know why I did that. I just was looking to mix it up and just go with something different. I feel like it's boring when we go like, oh, just take the usual JP. I know we're trying to win, but I just kind of want to stir some things up and see what would happen. And that backfired really tough on me. That was really terrible. That was a very shitty pick.
Zweifel, how many points did you have?
14 for Terens.
Well, boys, we have our first official tie because Kyle Seager had 14 points as well. So I don't know how we do that.
Draw.
It's a draw. So I guess we'll take a draw and get that on the scoring board. But for this week's pick to hits, I guess Zweifel, you haven't had a chance to go first, have you? You haven't ever had first.
I won the Haniger week, but then I was off.
You were off. Yeah, that was
So I'll go first. Why not?
Yeah, you can go first. Who do you want?
I'm gonna take Mr. J.P. Crawford.
Yeah.
Gonna run it back there.
You're gonna run it back with JP Crawford. You got to. And if you're gonna take JP, I am going to take. Oh man, we got the Yanks and then the Angels, and so I'm gonna want to see Rake Fraley. I'm gonna want to see Rake Fraley do his thing, and I just love that guy. What I found out in these pick to hits, strikeouts can really hurt you.
Yeah,
strikeouts can hurt you. And Seager had a number of strikeouts. That's why I had to subtract a number of points there because of all the strikeouts he had. But Fraley, he doesn't strike out, and so
and those walks are nice bonuses too,
especially when the rest of the team gets him into play. Gets him into home run. Excuse me, gets him to cross the plate. Yeah, I can say it. There it is.
You said it.
Yeah. All right, Evan.
I'm gonna go with Luis Torrens this week. I think if he can hit those bombs, that's 4 points right there for me. So hopefully he can keep that going. I'm gonna go with that, and then we'll just have to find out what Max is gonna go with through our group chat.
And one other thing we haven't touched on is how far Shed Long hit that home run.
Oh yeah,
He's got some pop
baby.
in his bat.
So that umpire I wasn't able to watch the game, but as I was watching the highlights and some reviews and whatnot on it, that umpire was calling a very high strike all day. A very high strike. Did you see any of that?
Inside too.
High and in, like they weren't strikes, and he was calling them strikes. And so Shed decides on a 1-0 count, 1 ball, no strikes count. He's gonna look for a fastball high and in that's been coming all day. And Shed Long, he keeps that weight on his back foot, man, and he ripped into it. It was like 3/4 of the way up to Hit It Here Cafe windows. That thing was absolutely tanked on, and I wish to God it broke one of the windows because that would be the coolest thing in the world. Like that's like seeing a basketball hoop get broken because it gets dunked on so hard. I don't think I've ever seen a piece of glass get broken at a baseball game, which would have been tight. But that Shed Long homer, I mean, another guy doing his thing, and it's some guys that we have on this team, man. They love each other. But all right. Those picks to hits are in. They're locked and loaded, ready to go, baby. I guess that leaves us to sign off here. Another great, and I've been saying this a decent amount here, but it's nice to be able to continue to say it. Another great week of Seattle Mariners baseball. And let's look forward to another great week of Seattle Mariners baseball when we get the boys from the Bronx and then the Angels coming to town. Let's take 2 more series, boys. Maybe we get another sweep in here, break out the brooms. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to it. Go Mariners.